Good morning, everybody. My name is Jerry Garcia. I'm the country manager for Aruba for Belgium and Luxembourg, and I'm honored to give a short introduction about Aruba and the partnership we have together with Xylos in a short introduction. I would like to start off with a short quote: "What got you here won't get you there," in the sense that the way we have been managing networks and moving with our environment and information flow over the last years has changed a lot and has needed a lot of change going into the future. So the way we've been managing in the past and where we're going to manage it in the future is going through a lot of transition. So what got you here will not get you there. Giving a short introduction about the challenges we've seen in the network industry over the last, I would say, decade or two. We have seen a lot of challenges. First of all, I would say the technology silos is something that we've seen a lot, in a sense. A lot of customers are managing security separate from their network environment. They've been managing their wired environment often separate from the wireless environment. Now, this gives a lot of challenges in the sense of lack of automation, lack of visibility, and lack of really bringing this to a business value to our customers through. Of course, that also comes hand in hand with security threats, because if you do manage your network separate from your security, there's a lot of possible risks you have on that level as well. And we need to do all these things with current less resources. If you look at the current pandemic even more so, I would say, that we have less and less people to manage this and actually to bring real business value to the organizations. So the Aruba story says that network must be able to do more and must be able to be a lot more agile. So if you look at the Aruba ESP or Edge Services platform, we are mainly focused on four pillars, I would say. The first of it is connectivity and seamless connectivity at that. Next, we need to provide the right layer of security and protection for the information we're actually having. And then we want to take a step back and see, okay, what can we do on level of analytics and on level of actions that actually can bring business value into the customer in the future. So if you look at the Aruba Edge Services platform, which we officially launched about a year ago now, you'll see that we're actually based on three layers. The first layer is, of course, the infrastructure layer. We need to connect both people and devices seamlessly into an environment. And we need to do this not only for the standard wired and wireless environments, we also need to be able to be a bridge for IoT. Meaning that we don't only talk networking protocols, we also talk Bluetooth, Zigbee, and a number of other things that provide actually an IoT gateway and a bridge into the environment. Layer up, we need to provide, of course, the right security for this. Aruba has the dynamic segmentation, which is basically policy enforcement we're doing on the network based on the type of user, type of device we need. Once we have this base layer, if I may say so, then we can provide extra services, both onboarding of both devices, IoT devices, people's devices, but also personnel. We need to be able to do provisioning, orchestrations. We have a full layer of artificial intelligence, which actually automates a lot of the network management. And then we can start going into business value and talks around location services, asset tracking, and so on. And so we have a lot of layers that we're actually presenting to the customer, which is coming from one environment and one management tool into the environment. Of course, this has been validated by the market. Aruba has been a leader in the Magic Gartner Quadrant for more than 14 years now. You'll see that it's been validated again, where we are the absolute leader on the visionary of the Gartner Gartner Magic Quadrants. If you look at the critical capabilities reports, Aruba has scored as the top performer on all 6 of the reports that Gartner has done. So that comes both from only LAN connectivity, wireless connectivity, remote connectivity. We're looking at application performance and so on. So Aruba has scored the top on all 6 of these. And last and not least, we have the Forrester, which is mainly based around the IoT and the capabilities Aruba can bring to our customers on IoT. Now we hear a lot more about this during the customer case we have together with Xylos on X2O, and we'll do a short introduction on a video just now. Thank you very much and enjoy it.
And personalized services, while businesses look for new ways to bring customers back into the brick-and-mortar store. To meet shoppers' expectations and drive revenue, retailers need to address competitive pressures, ensure shopper and staff safety, and evolve customer loyalty initiatives. They need to take advantage of technology that can deliver smart digital in-store experiences to both customers and staff, such as frictionless click-and-go checkout, wayfinding, electronic shelf labels, linking online and in-store experiences through omni-channel shopping, and analytics to understand dwell times, traffic flows, and space utilization. This is all made possible at the network edge, where customers, staff, devices, and technology all come together to deliver amazing retail experiences with real-time data to help drive better decision-making. But the edge is also a place where IT teams are facing challenges, such as securing and segmenting customer, associate, and IoT traffic with a constantly shifting network perimeter, managing from corporate headquarters to stores to remote workers across wired, wireless, and WAN environments, plus scaling and adapting the network to support new digital use cases. This is where Aruba ESP comes in, the industry's first AI-powered network designed to help retail connect, protect, and automate shopping at the edge to meet today and tomorrow's needs. Aruba ESP brings unified infrastructure to connect point-of-sale, scanners, kiosks, and shopper devices, bringing management and troubleshooting onto a single platform. Zero trust security that ensures each connected device operates within their role, including keeping payment card data secure. Built-in AI ops to automatically optimize a network's performance and reveal issues before they impact shopper satisfaction and revenue. All of this and flexible consumption and financing to keep your network up to date, even when budgets are stretched. This means you can consistently deliver and adapt to today's evolving retail environment to reach your goals. Whether you're providing in-store shopping, curbside pickup, or pop-up services, you can deliver the experiences that all your customers expect. It's time to rethink your network. It's time for your network to do some thinking. It's time for Aruba ESP. For more information, go to arubanetworks.com/retail.
Okay, today we're here from Aruba and we're going to talk about how we reimagine retail, because retail has been struck quite hard by the COVID-19 situation. They had to close all the stores. The customer experience is suffering because of that as well. It's becoming more and more difficult actually to work together with, to make sure we have a touchless and safe transition as well. The shopper health is so critical these days as well. And because of the pandemic, everybody is going to shop online. So we really need to make sure we can offer an as good or even better experience in that level as well. So today we're going to talk about one of the use cases with Xylos and Legio. Legio is more commonly known from the X2Os and the overstocks, the homes and the gardens in this case. And this is why I today have, of course, the pleasure of having Frederik in the studio as well. So Frederik, today we shall talk about the Aruba Edge Service Platform and how do you guys actually implemented that within one of your retail customers, namely, of course, Legio, more commonly known from the X2Os, overstock, home, gardens, and so on. So Frederik, what is the trigger at the customer side for this specific project?
So really, they came to us with a question about we need to have a wireless network solution in our stores. And the reason for that is two things. First of all, they went for us because they go for a new point of sale system. And to implement a new point of sale systems, they need to have better connectivity in their stores, because with the new point of sale system, they had handheld scanners, mobile sales stations in their stores. Also, they want to have the possibility to more easily change their floor layout in their stores, because sometimes they have a new product line and want to change their layout, so that will be also more easily. And of course, secondly, they want to provide guest access for their end users, because their customers are coming into their stores, want to give them their more new experience, and their guest access is a really important one for that. Also, we provided them with then a solution from Aruba with the new Wi-Fi 6 access points, because like what Jerry told us, that infrastructure is really the base foundation. So we started off with already that new technology, giving them the capabilities of providing all those new features to their customers in the future.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Frederik. So indeed, the network needs to do more, and that's why we leverage really our APs, our access point, as an IoT platform, and that we can go beyond to just the basic wireless connectivity. We go expanding that by using Bluetooth in the access point, having a Zigbee radio, and of course having that USB radio dongle as well in that case. In this way, we can really reuse the AP, so the access point, and really position it as an IoT platform. We can really add sensors to the network, like for example, we can add humidity sensors to them, temperature sensors in this case, and using that connectivity as well in that case. So of course, beside that, what's really important for retail as well is that we can actually add electronic shelf labelings to the network and update them over the APs as well. This really reduces the amount of devices that we actually need on site, and in this way we can again leverage that infrastructure for that amount as well. It's really connecting various systems in that case as well. So of course, Frederik, today we see the project is way bigger than when it started actually. How did it evolve to what it is today? Okay, so first of all we started with that Wi-Fi part, but of course communication is unified. It doesn't matter anymore if a device is connected or a user is connected on the wired or the wireless. So we really started looking quickly towards that switching infrastructure. So we also tackled that. And of course, the next step was looking to the whole picture. You have the Wi-Fi and the wireless connectivity, but of course, stores, they are distributed about the country. They need to also have one connectivity. So that's the next step. We have a look at it. They are also internationally. They have offices or stores in Belgium and the Netherlands, and probably going to expand to other countries. So the next logical step was also look at the Aruba SD-WAN technology, giving that one ecosystem solution to them, one view, one way of working. Okay. Indeed, so it's really using that Aruba Edge Service platform and using it across the whole stack. And this is also where it's a big advantage for many of our customers, because it's basically pillared into 3 major pillars. First, of course, we have the AI Ops, which is basically an AI engine that's running across your network over the whole infrastructure, analyzing all that data, and then sending you relevant information. In this way, we can really optimize your network and really give you the best network at that specific time as well. It's really going way advanced in that case. Then, secondly, we have the unified infrastructure, which is going across your Wi-Fi, your switching, your SD-WAN, 5G call offloading, and of course managing that IoT connectivity. And it's really important that we manage that from one single pane of glass. This really gives our customers a competitive advantage, because it's no longer a silos-based approach, but we can manage everything from one single pane of glass. This is really a big advantage for them. And then finally, it's really important these days to talk about security, and that's where we from a network vendor are going to align to the Zero Trust framework. We're actually going to build our architecture based upon the level of Zero Trust security. And that's basically really looking at what's running on your network, how it's communicating it, and how we can properly segment that and secure it in that case as well. So here is where we actually go into a demo of the live environment of X2O actually live. So what we're basically seeing in the screen is the welcome page of Aruba Central. So from here on, we can see the different geographical locations in that case. We can see later, of course, it's an international store, so it's Benelux present. So we see the different stores popping up in that case as well. We can see the Amsterdam store in this case. We see the AI engine feeding us data. So we see a couple of warnings here. We see a couple of recommendations here. We're seeing the clients that immediately are connected at that point. We're seeing those SD-WAN gateways coming up, showing those tunnels, showing those uplinks, having the devices that we're managing from Aruba Central, so our WLAN, our LAN, and our SD-WAN. And in this case, we can really manage that whole infrastructure. From here as well, we can jump into these specific stores and really manage them individually. So we can really jump into a floor plan, for example, look at a client that's being connected, look at one of the recommendations we're actually giving to the network as well. If you look at the different store, we see it's being color-coded as red. Why is it showing up as red? So we can easily find what's actually happening on the network. We can easily see that something is going on here on the network. So in this case, we're seeing some of the clients having issues connecting, there might be an uplink showing up as down, one uplink is still as up, so there is not an immediate impact. And then we jump into the summary. So because we're now at the global level, we see all the relevant information for that network. So we see the usage, we see the amount of clients that being connected to the network, and then we can jump into all the different kind of details. So we can see the bandwidth usage per network. It's really showing you that statistics on how your network is currently performing. It's really an advanced overview of creating that network. And then, of course, we can really individualize specifically on X amount of sessions as well. If we then look into the AI insights, that's where the power of the AI engine comes in, and where we really see all the insights that are being generated across our unified infrastructure. So across our unified infrastructure, that's going across our WLAN, our LAN, and our SD-WAN. And in this case, we can immediately see what's happening in the last month as of recommendations. So we see, for example, some recommendations regarding our gateway, some recommendations regarding the connectivity of our Wi-Fi, the availability of our gateway, or the wireless quality in general. It's, of course, again, color-coded, so you can easily see whether it's severe or it's just a warning that we're basically showing you as well. From here on, we can jump into the details of that specific failure in this case, or the warning, and we can see what's the reason, what's the impact, how many minutes is it impacting our live environment, and from here on as well, which sites are impacted, which gateways are impacted, and so on. So we can really go across the stack over a period of time. So we can see basically across a last month what's actually happening across our gateway tunnels for this case. Then, for example, we have one client that roamed excessively. We want to see where it happened, when it happened, and what we actually need to do about it. So we immediately click that specific impacted clients, and then we can see which sites were impacted, which APs, of course, were impacted specifically to that site, and then as well which clients were having issues on that network as well. So in this case, we can immediately view what's actually happening on our network, and we can act upon those recommendations as well. So this really gives us a competitive advantage in that case to other stores as well. So then, if we look at all those AI insights, they are reporting to the network. From here on, we can really see what's actually happening. And then if we move into the unified infrastructure, we can really see all the APs that are being connected. So these are 218 APs that we're currently managing from the Aruba central environment. We can then see how many radios they currently are broadcasting, whether they're online or offline, how they are being managed, what's the relevant information like IP address, the models, the serial numbers, and so on. And we can really leverage that infrastructure, that unified central plane. We can then jump into more detail, and we basically start at really high level, having a picture overview of our map showing if it's good or not, and then we go into a really detailed view, specifically here at an AP level. So from this side, we can really view the AP models. We can see how long they've been up for since this case as well, why they have been rebooted, and we get that information from here as well. Of course, it's a unified plane, so next up is, of course, switching. We can then see, again, which devices are showing up as online, which are as offline, and from here on, we can see the clients connected, the alerts, the models, if it's in synchronization with our management platform, if there are any issues, and we can jump into the details as well. So here for the Amsterdam location, we can see it's a stack-based solution, so the switches are currently being stacked as well. And of course, there is a firmware version that's available to do an update for this specific switch as well. We can then, of course, if you look at the rest of the management plane, we see that the relevant information, of course, changing specifically on the parameters we selected on the left-hand side as well. It's showing us the hardware, the routing, or the AI insights specifically for this stack as well. From there on, we can look into the switch, have a client overview, and so on. But of course, what's really important today is that we also get that visibility at the edge, at our connectivity edge, and this is where we actually use the gateways as well. We can look at them, see where they are offline, how many tunnels they have, which models they are using. Like here, we can immediately see that's a 9400 with an LTE backup line, so we're using the 4G connectivity as well. We're incorporating that into the environment. We can then, again, look into some specifics regarding these models. We can see the names where they're what's the name of the device, at which specific location they are, and also which configuration group they are. From there on, we can jump into the WAN, so the wide area network connectivity, and we can have the relevant information specifically for that WAN availability in that case as well. So this really moves us on going across that unified infrastructure, going into that specific retail environment. And here we selected the X2O environment, and we're really going to show you the end-to-end view from our topology, showing the APs, the stack switches, the gateways, and so on. This leaves us up to the next questions. So Frederik, how do you actually see the advantages of SD-WAN using a retail customer?
Okay, so for Legio, they're important. They're an international player. In the past, they had some MPLS networks. They had one in Belgium and one in the Netherlands. You know, when you're going to start MPLS networks cross borders, the prices also rises. It's like it's the same also a border. So therefore, they had different MPLS networks. It gives some complexity because you need to have the routing correct and everything else. So therefore, when we introduce SD-WAN, it will reduce the burden of getting everything set up correctly, getting that routing right. And also provide us with an overlay. So we can use whatever connectivity line what's available currently in that store. We had some stores where we, for example, had troubles because of the supplier of the internet lines came on time before the stores open. So we placed already that Aruba SD-WAN device there. That has the LTE in place already. We just placed a SIM card in it. We had already that basic connectivity with 4G, and the store could open. They could use their point of sales system. Also, afterwards, when we add, for example, the physical line, we don't need to change anything. The store don't need to go offline. We don't need to have downtime to add that additional line. And this gives us the advantage in the future that we have a backup line. We have our main primary line, and we have the policies in place in case of that primary line fails, that we switch over to 4G, and eventually also can see which traffic goes over 4G. For example, for Legio, their payments and their point of sale systems is critical for their business. So therefore we have a priority policy that they can go over 4G. But for example, the guest access is blocked on that moment. We don't want to have YouTube customers looking on YouTube consuming all the 4G connections. So that's really a key one. And we with Xilos went even a step further. We also provided with the 4G connections itself and the internet line. So our Xilos connectivity department really provided then the end-to-end solution from the physical lines towards the SD-WAN, wired and wireless. And the whole package is also managed by Xilos. So therefore, we really help them getting stores quicker up and running.
Okay, perfect. So indeed, it's leveraging that ZTP connectivity as well, because, well, in the beginning of the pandemic, every store was basically closed. Yeah. There's a huge interest in home renovation. They're doing bathrooms, they're doing work in the garden as well. So suddenly there is a huge demand to go back to the stores as well. So you have to act really quickly, and you don't always have that luxury to send somebody on site as well. So this is where I think you probably leveraged as well the zero-touch provisioning of Aruba, basically sending them the devices to the specific store, and from there on have just anybody install it physically, and then you can basically take it over from the silo side, I think. And in this way, you could really leverage that infrastructure, again, using that zero-touch provisioning by not sending anybody IT related to on site in this case, especially during the pandemic. And then, of course, if there is a device that actually fails, we can also use that technology to really send a replacement to those sites as well. So, well, it's quite difficult to manage that and during COVID times, especially to the physical deployments, and there is a lot of demand for those stores. How did you actually practically manage that?
So what we did, for example, is if you place an access point, you need to place it on the ceiling. And if you look at some stores, they have very high ceiling. So you need to have a large ladder. So what we did, we are IT persons. Sometimes doing practical things is a little bit difficult. But the electricians are really keen to help us. They say, okay, we are already on top on a ladder to place all the cabling. Can we not place those access points immediately? So with zero-touch provisioning, we can just hand them over the boxes. They just place the connection, plug in the Ethernet cable, and that device will come up, could connect to Aruba Central, and we from out of our monitoring or service desk can see if everything is in order, if that access point is coming online, getting its configuration. So that really helps us speeding up and getting more people involved to quickly roll out all those stores.
Okay, so Frederik, that almost rounds up the session that we have. So Frederik, if we look at the future and also when we're building that network connectivity for that future, how do you actually see that evolve? What are those requirements specifically for the connectivity of the future?
So we see that more and more everything is distributed. Before the pandemic and before we started to work remote, everyone was working in an office, was working in a building. Network management was easily because we have IT personnel coming around. Switches are in a locked closet. Nobody can access it, and now everything has become more distributed. It's more difficult to provide that security, provide that visibility, and I think that are two takeaways. What's really important. First of all, everything is connected. In the past, we had users that are connected, but now we have devices, we have fridges, we have aircos. Everything needs to have connectivity. We saw it in the session before, that IoT world, all those devices are sending data, needing to have connectivity outwards. And then is to have visibility on that network in two phases. First, to seeing the health of your network, how is your network going, and also leveraging, in this case, that AI ops, preventing already incidents from happening, seeing already up front what could be an issue in the future. And we can already act on that before the customer or the end user notices that. Secondly, is visibility for security. It's really keen to know which devices are connected on your network. And that's wired or wireless. Wireless, we all know we need to enter a password. We are authenticating on that. But for the wired part, for example, we all know we just plug in an Ethernet cable and we are connected to the network. That's a security risk because, especially with Legio, there are 88 stores in those two countries. We don't have IT personnel in every store, so we cannot check who is plugging in some cables. So therefore, that visibility of what's connected on the network. And then lastly, is using all those visibility, all those data to provide the security context. To use and leverage, for example, ClearPass to make that contextual security, knowing which person on which device, on which location can connect, and also providing, again, that unified security. It doesn't matter anymore if a user is connecting or a device is connecting to a switch or to a wireless network. But of course, like I said with the IoT part, we want to know more, because if you plug in a Samsung fridge, for example, they probably have the same network chip as a Daikin Airco, and for the network part, it's just the Broadcom or the other MLX network provider or Raspberry Pi that's coming on your network. But we really want to know which is the fridge and which is the Airco system. So therefore, we have the Aruba device insight, which is really going to do that profiling on those devices, looking. What for a device is that really? That's not that MLX card. No, that's the Samsung fridge. And how can we know? Because that Samsung fridge is, for example, calling out towards a Samsung server. And that Daikin Airco is calling out to an internal monitoring server, for example. So I think that's all the real takeaways, getting that visibility, getting that security around, and getting that everywhere, because it's a distributed thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that vision. And again, it's really focusing on that unified connectivity, that having that unified infrastructure, leveraging the same infrastructure and those management tools, really using network in a box as well, optimized for the SD-WAN story as well. Then secondly, we have that zero trust framework. We need to provide secure access, make sure we PCI compliance in an easy way as well, deploy and secure those IoT devices and adapt to threats on the network at that side as well. And then finally is the AI stack across the whole infrastructure, really understanding what's specific for that customer and those in-store experiences, prioritizing the correct experiences, and that's really that ESP's story in this case. So thank you a lot.